Okay. Gong Jing Da De San Ting Wei Si Fa Wei Ji Jie Zhong San Jing Zhuan Miao Fa Lun Zhao Dao Wo Men Ru He Liao Sheng Tuo Si Li Ku De Le Su Zhan Wu Shen. Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchetoye alahati sanmya sanputoche. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Okay, let's recite Medicine Master Buddha's name before I greet everyone. Okay. Namo, quelling disasters, lengthening life, medicine master, Buddha. 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 Medicine master does come one, medicine master does come one, medicine master does come one, medicine master does come one. Hello everyone, Amitabha, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, and all good knowing advisors. Welcome back, and this is class number 100. Yes, we have done this is 99 classes, and this is class number 100. Not bad. Okay. As usual, before we begin, does anyone have any questions? I know Sweeling has a question, and she will ask again. But in the meantime, anyone else?
Sure. I was just looking at the notes last week.
Yes.
The last lesson, and you know, in one of the you may have this is a quick question. The height of living beings, like you gave the height of living beings, but I don't understand what it means. Like for example, Jampu Vaipa, 3.5 hands to elbow lengths. I don't know how to convert that. What does that mean?
That literally means what it says. Using the body to measure the height. So you can kind of use assuming that you're of average height, you can use uh, the measurement. What was it? Hands and elbows?
Yeah, it says 3.5 hands to elbow length. So
Yeah.
you take your hand, the length of your hand, and you multiply by 3.5, and that's how high you are, or what?
Yeah,
Hands,
it's
hands to
or
the
you,
elbow, hands to the
or you can
elbow.
or you can just use feet as well, like 6 feet. Even 6 feet came from literally using somebody's foot to measure.
Okay,
So a lot of these are taken from the sutras that the Buddha spoke to a long time ago. So
okay,
I guess sometimes they use not very standardized units of measurement
okay.
for us. I mean, as far as we are concerned right now in the modern world.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay. Anyone else? You can just unmute your microphone when you feel comfortable, or you can type it into the chat box. For now, last week we looked at the food that beings eat in the desire realm. We looked at their lifespans, and then we looked at their height, which Ron just asked the question, the height. We look at how they earn a living, or sometimes how they don't need to earn a living, their marriage, the desires that they still have, the various birth and deaths they have to undergo. And we also look at the process of being born as a god in the heavens. All right. So today, what we have is what I promised you for last week, which I didn't kind of fulfill, which is the Buddha speaking about spirits in general. And then after that, we'll go into the role of merit. Okay, how does merit affect our rebirth? And that's a very important topic, merit. I think today we'll spend most of our time looking at merit, and then we'll look at how in the heavens, how the gods actually experience death, and then we look at meditation, and then we look at the world of form. The world of form is not our world; it is the world higher than us. Yeah, it's not even the heavens. The heavens that we have covered is still in known as the six desire heavens in our world of desire. But above our world of desire, and I'll show you a table later to make it easier to understand, is this thing called a world of form. A world of form has 18 heavens. They're all uh, they don't we won't it, the sutras don't even call them gods. They call them brahmas, Lord Brahmas and above. So that's the world of form that if we have time, we're going to go through today, because I have a very extremely interesting story to share. Yeah, if we have time for that. Okay, for now, let's move to our first slide, which is taken from a sutra called the Sutra on Buddhist Cosmology, which is where the Buddha explains the entire world. If there's anything you want to know about this world that we live in and beyond, what beyond meaning beyond what we can see, the Buddha explains. So the Buddha says the houses and residences where people live, that means where all of you are right now, it says are all without exception occupied by spirits. Okay, so if there's any one of you who's afraid of ghosts, this doesn't mean ghosts. Okay, spirits and ghosts are different things. Okay, spirits are a different realm of living beings that we have covered before. We actually read this, but from a different text. There are river spirits, tree spirits, and all that. So this is just the Buddha saying the same thing. The Buddha says there is no house or residence where no spirit abides. Spirits are invariably there in every street and crossroads, in butcher shops, as well as cemetery mounds, leaving no places where there are no spirits at all. And You know this by now because I've shared quite a few stories about spirits, one of which was for Anapindika. Anapindika is known as the foremost of all the Buddha's lay disciples in terms of generosity. And there was a spirit living on I think it was like the gate to his house, his mansion. There was like a gate with an arch over the gate, and there was a spirit living there. And every time the Buddha or the Buddha's monks would come to the house, which was very often because Anapindika was famous for giving alms, not just to the monastics, but to people who needed protection. For example, widowers, um, orphans, beggars. He was famous for providing alms to them. So every time the monastics or the Buddha will come, it is customary or rule that if you are a spirit and you're on a higher position in terms of elevation, you come down and maybe pay your respects. And so living in a place where monks would come almost every day, inconvenience the spirit a lot. So we shared that story before. So okay, coming back to this, the Buddha said, now insofar as a spirit dwells in a certain place, its name is derived from that place of attachment. Some spirits obtain their names from the names of individual humans. Others obtain their names from the names of villages, cities, countries, or regions, or mountains, rivers, and so on. This is kind of like a lot of people as well. Okay, then the Buddha says, all trees, even the smallest, whose trunk is only the size of an axle, are possessed by guardian spirits. There is no tree whatsoever that is without a residing spirit. This is why if you go to CDTB or you go to any land where we have a monastery, DRBA, sometimes you will see a notice posted on a tree. And the notice says, the purpose of the notice, as its name suggests, is to give notice to the spirit or the spirits dwelling in a tree. If it's a huge tree, it's like an apartment complex, apparently. You get different families or spirits living on the same tree. Sometimes we have to trim the limbs of a tree if it presents a danger, or say some infrastructure has to happen and the tree has to be fallen. If there's no choice and we have to cut the tree down, or we have to trim the tree, then we put up a notice giving enough time for the spirits that are affected so that they can move away. So that's a very common thing that we do at the City of 10,000 Buddhas and at our branches. Okay,
sure,
coming
I
back.
have a question.
Yes, Ron.
So if you don't write a notice that you're going to trim the tree and you trim the tree, what happens?
Okay, it's usually because of the nature of mankind. The nature of man is to take things without having ownership, like
Right.
hunting of animals and cutting trees down. Spirits kind of understand, and they give humans quite a bit of leeway in accounting for our bad behavior. For example, there's this story in the I know the story, but I don't remember the source. So anyway, this story is like this. I think it is from the Mahaprajna Paramita Shastra by Nagarjuna. Shastra means commentary. So there's this monk who walked by a pond, and in that pond there was growing very nice, beautiful lotus flowers. And as the monk happened to walk by the lotus flowers, he caught a whiff of the scent of the flowers. And I think he must have registered the smell, the fragrance. And the next thing he knew, he was scolded by the spirit of the pond. The spirit of the pond said, how can you, as a mendicant or as a monk, Ron, I'm just going to mute you. Okay. So the spirit scolded the monk. He said, how can you as a so-called disciple of the Buddha, enjoy the fragrance of the flowers. So the monk said, well, I mean, I didn't do it on purpose. And then the monk pointed out, he said, but I'm just, I'm not even harming anything. I'm just walking by and I happen to smell the fragrance. But before me, there were a group of people who came into your pond and they harvested a lot of the lotus, probably the lotus buds for their lotus seeds or something. And he said, they were just steal. I don't think he accused them of stealing, but it was obvious. He said they just came and left a mess and they took what they wanted. And you didn't say a thing. He told the spirit of the pond. And the spirit of the pond said, well, you can't, you I don't expect anything more from humans like that because that is their nature. But you, as a follower of the Buddha, as a monk, you should know better. So there you go, Ron. Yeah. Okay. So most of the time, it's okay, but there are also stories that you hear. Sometimes people cut down large trees, and then there are accidents in the place, or like a construction place where before construction begins and they do something where the locals tell them, hey, you shouldn't have done that, like chop the big tree down. And after that, accidents begin to happen. There are also stories like that, although most of them are and what's the word, anecdotal, and how do you pronounce that word? And it's very hard to provide evidence, unless you maybe have opened your eyes. So yeah, so we can't really use those stories as evidence or proof, but nonetheless, those stories do exist. Okay. All right. So the Buddha says each and every man or woman, so this is the interesting part, from the very beginning has a guardian spirit who keeps watch over them throughout their lifetime. When their death approaches, it is their guardian spirit who takes hold at the end of their life. The Buddha said to the bhikshus, if a heretic means someone who is not a disciple of the Buddha, that means they believe in external views. So Buddha says, if a heretic would say, Venerables, if every man or woman has a guardian spirit, like a bodyguard, I would like to ask, why does it happen that some people are troubled by their guardian spirits while others are not at all influenced by them? Okay, what it means when he says some people are troubled by their guardian spirits, excuse me, I have no idea whether it is the spirit themselves who cause trouble, or it is trouble comes to that person almost like there was no guardian spirit at all. I'm not sure. There's no elaboration or commentary for this sutra. Okay, so basically maybe the principle is this: if everyone has a guardian spirit, how come bad things happen to people? Okay, I think that might be a more reasonable way of understanding that passage. So the Buddha says, he says, Venerables, you should reply as follows. Okay, so some people commit offenses against the 10 norms of conduct. What are the 10 norms of conduct? In other places, you will see it as the 10 wholesome deeds or the 10 good deeds. What are the 10 good deeds? It involves the body, your mouth, and your mind. Body meaning no harming or no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct. That's the body. When it comes to your speech or your mouth, is no lying, no slander, or sometimes together with divisive speech. Divisive speech means you gossip to one person about another person and you make them upset with each other. Number 3, no harsh language. You always speak gently. Number 4, no frivolous talk. That means you don't give people false thinking. You don't talk about things that are totally useless and doesn't help them become a better person. And then the last one, the mind, has to do with greed, aversion or hatred or ill will, and wrong views or deviant views. Okay, so these are 10 norms of conduct. So the Buddha says such people, whether 100 or 1,000 of them altogether, have only a single guardian spirit to look out for all of them. Just as a herd of sheep or cattle, or 100 or 1,000 in number, likewise has only one shepherd to guard them, it is like that. So the Buddha says, Okay, maybe I'll just finish reading. Then the Buddha says, committing wrongs influenced by wrong and inverted views, one has only partial protection from a guardian spirit as one of 100 or 1,000. For this to make more sense, okay, let's move on to the next slide. Then the Buddha says, on the other hand, if one does good deeds, and if upholding right views and believing in right action, he or she complies with the 10 norms of conduct, that person will be protected by 100 or 1,000 guardian spirits. So Buddha gave an example or a simile, a metaphor. The Buddha said, just as the king of a country or his minister is protected by 100 or 1,000 guards, those who engage in good behavior and comply with the 10 wholesome deeds or the 10 norms of conduct are watched over by 100 or 1,000 guardian spirits. It is because of these different causal conditions that some people are troubled by spirits while others are not at all influenced by them. Okay, so sometimes you hear when people take precepts, you are told that when you take the 5 precepts, you have 5 guardian spirits with you, and if you break one of the precepts, the spirits will, go away and they don't protect you anymore. Something like that. Yeah, it comes from here. All right. So Alice, so Sui Ling has a question, right? Sui Ling?
Yes, I have a question. Is it a must to put the earth spirit tablet in your house?
Okay, so what Sui Ling is referring to is the, let me see if I can find a picture. Where is it? Okay. Okay, so in I don't know what you call it in Hokkien, like Tikong or the guardian spirit, the local guardian earth spirit. Okay, so I've got some examples. Let me show you what it looks like.
It's called what? Tho Ji Gong, Tho Ji Gong in Hokkien.
Okay, sometimes it looks like, no. Oh, sorry. Okay, no, not this one. Tho Ji Gong, okay. Does anyone know what you call these kind of things in Hokkien or?
Is it Dato Kong?
Yeah, Dato Kong is one of them. Yeah. Okay.
法师
Yes.
I think could be Tejugong or something like that.
Tejugong. Okay, yeah, Tejugong. Tejugong is the earth spirit. Yeah, earth guardian spirit. So this is what it looks like. If you look at your screen, sometimes it is very common in Chinese households. It's either elevated off the ground or it's on the ground. In the dining area of our temple where I'm living at, Ten Pian, at the back, we have one. I think it's for the Dato Kong, and we inherited that when the temple was still a Taoist temple. Some of these have different deities involved depending on the household. It's not for sure that they're all meant for the same thing. So Sui Ling's question is, should we have this? Is it a must? In Buddhism, no. So what happens in Buddhism is if you read sutras like the Earth Store Sutra, the local guardian spirits, right up to even the fearsome spirits that are controlled by the 4 heavenly gods, the leaders of all these spirits, like including the yakshas, which are fearsome spirits, they actually tell the Buddha that if any disciple practices the Dharma, they hold the precepts, they do the 10 good deeds, they recite the sutras, what else? They practice generosity, all these acts of, all these practices. What they do is they protect the people, or they protect the household, or sometimes they even protect the entire area. And in the Earth Source Sutra, it says that to the extent that even bad news will not pass by the person's ear. Yeah. So I guess this depends on your sincerity when you practice. Are you practicing for the right reasons? And coincidentally, today we're going to find out what are the right reasons when you practice. So pay attention. And so instead of you having to worship them for whatever reasons, for good luck, for their protection, or whatever it is, in Buddhism, to get the protection of all the local Dharma protecting spirits or even the fearsome spirits, all you need to do is to be a good disciple of the Buddha. That's it. You don't have to bribe them by offering them things or, giving it, lighting incense or what. They, in fact, will respect you and protect you if you are a good disciple of the Buddha. So that's how it works. All right? Okay. And in Buddhism, the Buddha does speak about providing proper respect to spirits because they're all around us. But the only, how you say, like pagodas or stupas, or in Tibetan, they call it chai. I don't know how to pronounce it, chai triyakas, like maybe small worship areas like that is for the Buddha. Yeah. Okay, all right. So now let's look at where we were previously and where we're going to go. Okay, if you look at your screen, we have gone through number 1, the hell realm. We have gone to number 2 to 5, the animals, the hungry ghosts, the realm of asuras, and the realm of humans. We are now finishing 6 to 11, which is the heaven of the 4 kings, the Trimtrimsha, the Suyama. And if you look at the small little words right next to it, it says the realm of desire with beings of gross form. So from 1 to 11, we are all in the realm of desire. And even the heavenly beings, the gods in the heavens, they still have somewhat gross bodies. And then above it, from number 12 to 27 are known as the 16 form heavens. Okay, that's where Lord Brahma stays. And there's another 4 heavens above it called the 4 formless heavens. There's not much to talk about in those heavens. Those will be done fairly quickly, probably not today, but we'll get to there. But in the meantime, all right, before we get there, let's look at merit and rebirth. Okay, this is a sutra called the Punya Kiriyavata Sutta. This is from the Theravada Pali Canon. It means making merit. Punya means merit. And the Buddha says, there are 3 grounds or 3 ways for making merit. What 3? Okay, the first is generosity or giving, also known as dana. The second is precepted behavior or sila, ethical conduct. And the third one is meditation, but it's the word meditation, translating it as meditation is a bit of is a bit misleading because the word bhavana actually means a lot more than meditation. Meditation is part of it, but it's a lot more. So taken together, these 3 is how you make merit. And there's a huge difference between merit and blessings. Okay, there's a huge difference. The difference does not lie in what you do. Okay, 2 people can do the same thing. For one person, all the person gets is blessings. But for the other person, they don't just get the blessings, but they get merit as well. Okay, what is the difference? We'll come to that. But for now, think about the difference. What makes the difference between merit and blessings? If it comes from doing the same thing, if 2 people can do the same thing, but one person can get only blessings, whereas the other person, not just blessings, but they get merit as well. Okay, think about that. What's the difference? Okay, but before we go there, all right, I just want to explain a bit about the number 3, which is bhavana or meditation. A better word for bhavana is cultivation. Okay, people normally call it meditation, but it's a lot more than that. So it's cultivation. So the word bhavana comes from the word to be or to become. okay, to be or to become, meaning you do something to become something else. So there's a process of transformation, meaning you do something to get rid of your greed, your ignorance, your anger, your bad habits. All right. So what does bhavana mean? It means cultivating, it means producing, manifesting. Manifesting is very interesting, okay, because it comes from your heart. Imagining, suffusing. Suffusing means to, to immerse yourself in a certain, say, idea, concept, or practice. It also means reflecting. Reflecting means not doing something blindly, like just following the precepts blindly, but understanding why you should follow the precepts. How does the precepts make you a better person, a better father, a better son, a better mother, a better daughter, sister, brother, you know? So the word meditation or bhavana here includes all of that. So maybe a better word for it is mindfulness. Mindfulness of what it is that you're doing at all times. All right. So having explained that, one way to look at the word or to understand cultivation is to see it as the sustained development or the sustained practice of your state of mind. So, for example, if generosity generates joy in you, how do you practice to sustain that joy in you, so you can carry the joy and spread the joy and spread loving kindness to all living beings? Okay, and then bhavana, since it includes practices, also means what you're doing right now: listening to someone explaining the sutras and the dharmas, studying, reading the sutras yourself, memorizing the sutras, chanting, reciting mantras, or things like that. So let me see. So anything that has to do with the Noble Eightfold Path, the spiritual exercises we do, like loving kindness, you come to the temple to join for Fa Hui, you generate wholesome states of mind. Everything that has to do with practice that has to end birth and death can fall under bhavana. Okay, so let's look at an example from the Earth Store Sutra. All right, I know I talked about the Earth Store Sutra just now. So I use the Earth Store Sutra now just for a quick illustration of what we just discussed. This particular section, the Buddha says to Earth Store Bodhisattva, the Buddha says, moreover, Earth Store, in the future, good men or good women may plant good roots in the Buddha Dharma by giving, making offerings, repairing temples or monasteries, binding sutras, or doing good deeds. Okay, all these are bhavana. All right, we just talk about bhavana, and then there's giving, which is generosity. Okay, the Buddha says, if you do this, there are as small as one strand of hair, one mote of dust, a grain of sand, or a drop of water. That means even if you do just a bit, okay, just a bit, like if you come and you sweep the floor of the temple, but you don't even finish, or you don't really do a good job, the floor is still dirty, or you just sweep one corner and you say, okay, I've done my good deed for the day. All right, just a drop of water. The Buddha says, merely by transferring the merit from that deed to the Dharma realm. Okay, so this is a hint of the difference between merit and blessings. All right, Buddha says, just by transferring the merit from that deed to the Dharma realm, those people's meritorious virtues will be such that they will receive supremely wonderful bliss for 100,000 lives. So if you're not selfish, okay, and when you do this kind of wholesome acts, even if it's very, very small, but your heart, the reason why you do it is for living beings. It's not for yourself or only for the people that you care for, but it's for on behalf of all living beings. Then the Buddha says your reward will last for 100,000 lives. But, okay, the Buddha says, if they dedicate the merit only to their own family or relatives, that means your heart is small. You can only care for the people that you know. When you meet strangers and they suffer, they have afflictions, or they undergo hardship, it doesn't really affect you. Okay, the Buddha says they will receive as a result only 3 lives of bliss, thus putting aside the 10,000-fold reward. Earth store, such are the conditions of giving. So 2 people, you can do the same thing, but one person, his heart is open, he's able to be to have more empathy for people and have a wish that more people, not just his immediate family, are free from suffering. Then just by that, just by the virtue of your mind and the state of your heart, the rewards that you receive are different. Okay, we go into more detail between the difference of merit and blessings. Okay, but for now, just if you have questions, you hold on to your questions. Okay, but you should be reflecting and thinking of this. Okay, you should be activating that bhavana part of your practice. All right, reflecting. And then we move on to the next part of the we move on to a next text from Bodhidharma, okay, about why it's important, okay, the difference between blessings and merit. So Bodhidharma says, and I've shared this with you before, so for some of you, you can remember, this will be familiar. Bodhidharma says, mortals who don't understand true practice and blindly perform good deeds are born into the 3 higher states of existence within the 3 realms. And what are these 3 higher states? Those who blindly perform the 10 good deeds, okay, remember we talk about 10 good deeds. Those who blindly perform, okay, this is the key word here, blindly perform the 10 good deeds and foolishly seek happiness are born as gods in the realm of desire. What's the realm of desire? That is the 6 desire heavens that we've been spending the last few weeks going through. Bodhidharma says, those who blindly observe the 5 precepts and foolishly indulge in love and hate are born as men in the realm of anger, which is people like us. And those who blindly cling to the phenomenal world, believe in false doctrines, and pray for blessings are born as demons in the realm of delusion. These are the 3 higher states of existence. What does he mean when they say those who believe in false doctrines and pray for blessings are born as demons in the realm of delusion? Well, sometimes if you come to the temple, okay, I won't talk about other people, I'll talk about myself. Before I really understood what the Dharma was all about, I would go to the temples, either because of my grandmother. Right now, where I am taking classes for my master's program, it is very near a very famous Taoist temple called the Kao Ong Ya temple. It's in Hokkien, Kao Ong Ya. Kao Ong Ya means 9 gods. Ong Ya. I don't know what it means. I only know it's 9 gods. Maybe someone can help me, Mr. Tai. If you can help me, Kao Ong Ya. Yeah, anyway, it's a very famous Taoist temple. And I know that temple because my grandmother would go to that temple every year and stay there for 10 days. And I have no idea what they do at that temple. I've never asked my grandmother, but that's what she used to do. Okay. And so when I used to go to those places, before I understood what the Dharma was, you would light incense and you would ask for good luck and you would ask for protection. Okay, it says 9 emperor gods. Okay, thank you so much. So Kao Ong Ya is called the 9 emperor god temple. Yeah. So when someone prays and they ask for long life, good health, blessings, it is someone who doesn't understand in cause and effect. Okay, what does that mean? Doesn't understand in cause and effect. I actually have one interesting sutra that I never, I didn't think about sharing it today. because that Kao Ong Ya temple didn't, when I was preparing my notes, I didn't think about it at all. But I have this sutra that I save. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, let me find it because it's worth taking a minute or two to share this sutra with you because, okay, hold on. Let me look for it. Okay, this sutra is called the Ita Sutta, and it's a very important sutra, a very interesting sutra. Why? Okay, let me show you my screen. Okay, it's called the Ita Sutta, and it's translated as "what is welcome." All right, and if you want to look for it, it's from the Anguttara Nikaya collection, Sutra number 5.43. Okay, why can't I move? Okay. In this sutra, basically the Buddha says that long life is welcome, agreeable, pleasant, and hard to obtain in this world. Beauty, and then the Buddha continues, happiness, status, rebirth in heaven. Okay, these are usually the things that people pray for, but you can also include good luck, okay, winning numbers for your lottery, okay, what else? That promotion that you want, or whatever it is, all fall into this list, okay? And then the Buddha says, let me highlight. The Buddha says, I tell you, these 5 things are not to be obtained by reason of prayers or wishes. In other words, you can pray all you want, you can wish all you want, you're not going to get it. Because why? The Buddha says, if they were to be obtained by reason of prayers or wishes, who here would lack them? That means everyone will get what they want, right? If prayers and wishes work, then all you have to do is pray or wish for it and you will get it. But not everyone gets what they pray for. So that's the Buddha saying in this disciple, and then the Buddha said instead, okay, the disciple of the noble one who desires long life should follow the path of practice leading to long life. So in other words, if you want long life, you must create your own conditions for long life by planting the seeds to get a long life. Cause and effect. You have to understand how cause and effect works. And now, okay, so I'm going to close this. This is called the Ita Sutta. In case you're interested, you can go find it yourself and read it yourself. Which is why we are exploring the difference between merit and blessings. Why? Because all of you who are close to the Dharma, you are going to, through your practice, your everyday practice, coming to the monastery, listening to the sutras, you have ample opportunities to create merit. So don't let these opportunities go by only creating blessings. All right? Okay. So this is what Bodhidharma means when he talks about blessings and merit. So blessings does nothing to help you end your affliction. It does nothing to help you end rebirth. All blessings are very important. Okay, blessings are very good. Okay, why? Because, for example, Anatta Pindika, the known as foremost of the Buddha's lay people in supporting the triple jewel, and not just a triple jewel, but people who needed help. Where did all his money come from? From acts of giving, of generosity from past lives. So you could say that he had a lot of blessings. But at the same time, he also had a lot of merit. Okay, so what does blessings do? Blessings are karmic affinities that bring you back to rebirth. That's very important to know. Okay, you get born and you die. Your life may be good, but usually it's mixed. Okay, you look at all the rich people, they realize money can't buy happiness or good health. They can prolong certain things, but money is not the end all and be all, especially not in birth and death. So blessings get you a better rebirth, but when you get a better rebirth, for example, like we've explored in the heavens, all you do is if you don't practice as a god, because you're supposed to practice just like humans, if you don't, then all the blessings that you're enjoying come from the blessings that you have planted before. It's just like a bank account. And those blessings are going to end. And your life is going to end. And when your life is exhausted and you fall or you die and you haven't practiced, then you usually fall. Because while you were exhausting your blessings, in your past lives, all the unwholesome deeds that you have planted have not been resolved, and they are still there waiting for the right conditions to appear, and then they come back and haunt you and make you regret. All right? Those are blessings. Merit, however, every little merit that you do brings you closer to ending birth and death. It keeps you on walking the path, which is a noble eightfold path. And it brings you closer to ending birth and death in samsara. Okay, so blessings and merit. So coming back to the original slide that started this whole discussion of merit and blessings, which is this. Okay, the three ways we can make merit: giving or generosity, ethical conduct or precepted behavior. Okay, that means controlling yourself and learning how to. Okay, if you look at the Bodhisattva and holding the precepts, they hold the precepts on behalf of living beings because they care for you. So learning how to hold the precepts in that way. Okay. And the final one is meditation or bhavana, but now we know it is a lot more than meditation. It is actually, it covers our practice. So, when we do fahuis, when we do chanting, the Buddha's name, mantras, when you volunteer at the temple, when you are not vegetarian yet, but you try your best, okay, you maintain the precepts. How many of us actually are aware of why we do those things? I mean, we know it's good, but have you asked yourself what is your intention, why you're doing it? I know I haven't. Before I understood, I would, you ask me why you're doing it, I would just look at you with a stupid look on my face, or maybe I would think you're stupid for asking, and I would say, because it's good. Why do you need to think so much? Just, it is practices that have been given to us by Shufu, and a lot of people do it. Just follow. You don't have to really understand what's going on. But if you do that, then the chances of not creating merit is very, very high. You are creating a lot of good, you're creating a lot of blessings, but your merit may be very, very little. So as in the Earth Sutra, instead of benefiting yourself for thousands of lifetimes, maybe you just get like 5% or 10% or 0.3% if you just do it for yourself and your family. Okay. So one way to understand the difference between creating merit while you are creating blessings lies in right intention. Right intention is one of the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, we have right view, right intention, right effort, right mindfulness. What is right intention? Okay, right intention, the Buddha says, consists of three components. Okay, and if you want, you should take this down, because every time you do something good, you want to make sure that you have memorized this. All right. What are the three that makes up right intention? Number one, the intention of renunciation. What does that mean? Renunciation means as you do something, you tell yourself you want to lessen your greed and your desire and your attachments. So that's an intention, either for yourself or for the people you're helping. So say you give food to an animal, and the animal is very hungry or very greedy, and the way they eat the food is they almost choke while eating. That's just their nature. So as you're giving the food, you have this thought that may this animal and all other animals who are suffering the same fate be able to let go of desires and overcome, all their attachments and desires, and for yourself as well. Something like that. Okay, so the first one is the intention of renunciation. As you give, you are giving away your attachment, not giving away, you are lessening your attachment, and you're not asking for more things. So you're not saying, as I give, I want to, like the Earth Sutra say, the Buddha promised that I will get, if I can dedicate my merit to the entire Dharma realm, I get 1,000 lifetimes of blessings. No, that's not what you want. Unless you say, whatever blessings I get from this, I hope I can benefit all living beings. Then that's different. You're not wanting it for selfish reasons. Okay, then that falls under renunciation. Okay, so the first one is very important. The intention of renunciation, lessening greed, desire, attachment. Okay, number two is the intention of goodwill. All right, what is goodwill? Goodwill means you wish living beings and yourself to be happy. When you give, when you do anything proper, all you have in your heart are good thoughts, good wishes. So if you sweep the floor of the temple, you say, oh, when people walk their feet, I don't want their feet to be dirty, and if they sit on the ground, I want their clothes to be clean. You just want them to have a clean surface to use. Something like that. That's considered goodwill. So in anything that you do, you wish the best for the people that you're doing it for and for yourself. Okay, so that's intention of goodwill. It leads to happiness. And then the third is the intention of harmlessness. It's a bit related to goodwill, but there's nothing that you want to do that harms anyone at all. All right, so renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. These three makes all the difference. There are other components as well, but basically these three, also otherwise known as right intention, I can't say 100% for sure, but I'm fairly confident that it will transform all the things that you do that has blessings into merit. All right, again, renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. All right, and this makes a lot of sense when you look at, if you come to a temple, usually they have the 3 great vows in the Mahayana temple. What are the 3 great vows? The 3 great vows are: I vow to save all living beings, I vow to cut off all evil deeds, and I vow to try my best to do only wholesome deeds. Where do these 3 come from? Well, the intention of renunciation, the intention of goodwill, and the intention of harmlessness. Their roots come from right intention. So although they are Mahayana, the root come from the same root, same tree, All right. Okay. All right. So let's quickly look at how merit affects rebirth. Okay. In the same sutra, the Punya Kiri Vyavata Sutta. Okay, my Pali instructor will cry when he sees me trying to pronounce Pali. For disadvantaged humans, okay, what happens? It says, first, when Buddha says someone has practiced a little giving and ethical conduct, you just do a bit, not much, as grounds for making merit, but they haven't got as far as meditation as a ground for making merit. So meditation here means bhavana. So they do good things, but they haven't practiced. When their body breaks up after death, they are reborn among disadvantaged humans. And then for well-off humans, okay, someone has practiced a moderate amount of giving and ethical conduct as grounds for making merit, but they haven't got as far as meditation as a ground for making merit. So here, meditation can mean, you can take it to mean either like real proper meditation, like developing samadhi, because this can also lead to rebirth in the next realm, the realm of form. which you get there through having a state of mind similar to the dhyanas or meditation concentration. Or you can also interpret as how we understand the word meditation or bhavana in this sutra, which is meant to include all practices that generate merit. Okay, all right. Then these are humans. Okay, disadvantaged humans. That means humans who have quite a bit of suffering in their lives, and humans with less suffering. And then the next category, how you get born in the heaven of the four kings, how you become a god of the four kings. The Buddha says someone has practiced a lot of giving and ethical conduct, okay, as grounds for making merit, but they haven't got as far as meditation as a ground for making merit yet. Okay, so you haven't really practiced yet. Then after death, you are reborn in the company of the gods of the four kings. And then he says there in this heaven, the four great kings themselves, that means the four leaders of the heaven, have practiced giving and ethical conduct as grounds for making merit to a greater degree than the other gods. So because by virtue of the only way they could have become the four kings of the heaven or the four kings named after them is because they were foremost within the heavenly realm for making merit within that category. So when you're born there, although you have a lot of merit, enough merit to be born there, but they have far greater merit than you. So I hope you can remember the stories where we explored how some people are born in the heavens, but their blessings there are less than other people and the other gods. Okay, so this explains that. So how are they better than you? Well, their lifespan is longer. They look better than you. They are more beautiful. They are more happy than you are. They are more glorious. Glorious, maybe I think the number of their retinue, their servants and the people who follow them. Their sovereignty, that means their mastery over themselves. Their sight, sound, smells, taste, and touch. So they may be looking at the same thing that you're looking at, but to them it looks better. You know, they may eat the same food, but to them the food tastes better. Yeah, it's kind of unfair, but it's fair at the same time because, you know, you only have yourself to blame for not generating the same amount of merit as they have. Okay, then the next 5 heavens are kind of lumped together. The Buddha says someone who has practiced a lot of giving and ethical conduct, but they haven't got as far as meditation yet. So why is this distinction about meditation made? Is because these heavens of the desire realm, you don't need any special meditation skill or to be a great practitioner to get access to be reborn in these heavens. All you need to do, as we have just read, is practice a lot of generosity, okay, and hold to the precepts as much as you can. These 2 things. And if you do it well enough, the better you do it, the higher the heaven you can be reborn in. Okay. And what are the remainder of the heavens? We have the heaven of the 4 kings, and you have the gods of the 33, then you have the gods of Yama or the Suyama heaven, then the Tushita heaven, then the gods of Nimanarati, and then the gods of the Parinimitavasavati. Total 6 heavens. Okay, so it's time. Actually, what I was going to do, if we had more time, was to introduce what happens when you get born in the heavens. Anyone want to guess what happens? We already know the how you get born in the heavens, how you look for your food, your clothes, and how immediately you become an adult. But what happens next? Anyone want to guess? I'll give you a sneak preview. Okay. What happens next is you die. You enjoy your life in the heavens, you exhaust your blessings, and then just like anywhere else, you have to die. So we'll cover this next week since time is up. And then next week, we shall be able to look at a very interesting story, or not story actually, a very interesting sutra called the Brahmanet Sutra. And this is not the Mahayana Brahmanet Sutra. Mahayana Brahmanet Sutra is where we get the Bodhisattva precepts from, that has the is it 10 or 8 10 major Bodhisattva precepts from, the one that monastics take, that comes from the Brahmanet Sutra. This Brahmanet Sutra that we're going to explore next week talks about all the different wrong views that a person can have, but we won't be going through that. Instead, what we're going to go through is just one of the wrong view, which is how religions come into this world. If you ever wondered how other religions have come into the world, well, stay tuned for next week and we'll find out. Okay, so we have a question from Sue Wong. She says, when one sees that one family members are suffering because they do not understand Buddha Dharma, is it not natural to transfer merit to them first, then to all sentient beings? Okay, so Sue Wong's question is, when you have someone that is very close to you and they are suffering, isn't it natural for you to transfer merit to them first before you think about other living beings? Yes, of course. It is very natural for us to do that. And that also explains why we are not bodhisattvas yet, or a Buddha, because we tend to separate the people that we care for. We have the people that we care for, we have natural loving kindness and compassion for them. But when it comes to people outside that circle, we find that it's not natural anymore. Yeah. So is it a shortcoming? Yes and no. From the point of view of practice, yes, it is a shortcoming that we have to work on. When I say no, it's because Shufu talks about turning affliction into bodhi or wisdom. So our shortcomings are area that shows us where we need to practice, but at the same time, it also shows our strengths, like in this case. So in the sutras, the Buddha talks about how we start at home, where we start with our parents, with our teachers, with the Buddhas. And why do we start at home and with those people? It's because our respect and reverence comes naturally. Or as I prefer to put it, those relationships naturally bring out the best in us. You want to know when you are a bodhisattva? When you behave like a bodhisattva is with the people that you really care for, that bring out the best. Okay, it's because we are humans, they also bring out the worst because we have a lot of mixed karma. Okay, that I understand. But if you look at the times where they bring out your best, especially like I would say like when my grandmothers were around, I would always try, or at least I think I would like to think that I would always try to want to please them, and even if I had to give up my favorite food so that they could eat it, it would not make me feel as if I had sacrificed anything. In fact, it would have made me happy. Something like that, okay? When you recognize the goodness or the wholesomeness in yourself in those situations, and if you can learn how to extend that to other living beings that fall outside your circle, that's where it becomes a strength. So the Buddha says, if you can treat other older women as your mothers, treat older men as your fathers. That's what that means. You learn how your father, your parents, or whoever it is that brings out the best in you, and you learn to apply it to other people. Okay? So from your weakness or deficiency, you turn it into a strength because that's where you can learn. All right? So Sue says, then the merits are not totally wholesome. No, you can't say that. Yeah. You can't say that because it depends on your sincerity as well. So for one very good example is the Earth Store Sutra. Okay, in the Earth Store Sutra, when Earth Store Bodhisattva was a daughter, actually twice, and her mother died, and she realized she couldn't do anything by herself to help her mother who had passed on. So she sought the help of the Buddhas. And one story, she had the help of an arhat in the beginning, who told her what to do to pray to the Buddha. And then the other one was, I don't remember the details, but basically, okay, it was a situation, so just like how you brought up. Her mother was foremost in her mind. It was because of her mother that the best came out in her, and she could do something totally unselfish, like sell off all her belongings so she could donate to the Triple Jewel on behalf of her mom. In another incident, she cared for the mother so much that she threw herself towards she didn't even care for her own safety. And she threw herself towards the sound of where the Buddha's voice was coming from. Okay, that's just saying that even her own life did not matter at that point. That's how selfless she was. But what happened was, after seeing her, recognizing her inner potential, her inner strength that was brought forth by her care and love for her mother and her wish to repay the mother's kindness that was given to her, she then made a vow that she said, since she can help her mom, or if her mom can be helped, if she does all this and the mom benefits, then she made the vow that all mothers, I don't remember exactly the words, but something like that. She made the vow that she wants to save all mothers or something like that. So that was exactly like what you just brought up. Okay. First, what is natural is for the people that you care for. And that's also why we are not enlightened beings yet. Then we learn from there, and from Earth Store Bodhisattva's example and from other Bodhisattvas' example, why they can do those things and we can't. So when you see what brings out the best in you and you learn with your own sutra, Shufu says everyone has their own sutra, this is what he means. You investigate your own sutra, you figure out why in those situations it brings out the best in you, and why sometimes people just bring out the worst in you. Okay? You learn from there, and you learn to apply that for different people, different situations. And that's how you become a bodhisattva. All right? Dharma Master Ron is asking, could you spell the name of the sutra that explains the difference between blessings versus merit? What sutra was that? I don't know, Ron. What are you referring to?
Tathagata Sutra or something like that. He displayed those.
I can't hear you, Ron. Can you speak louder?
Yes, you displayed the slide, but I couldn't copy it fast enough, But it was
Is it this one?
Because no, not that one. It was the
This one?
no. It starts with an I. I think I wrote part of it. ITTA or something like Ithaca Sutta.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. ITTA.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let me share on screen again. Okay, there you go. Ita Sutta.
Yeah, hold on a second. One second. Well, I got it.
Okay. Lisa has shared it on your chat. So
Yeah,
just copy that. Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So anyone else? Any more questions? Okay. This is why I prefer people to ask questions, because your questions makes the sutras come alive. It makes the principles of the sutra relevant. And sometimes for me, as a monk, my lifestyle is very, very different from all of you. I don't have to. So, okay, just because my lifestyle is very different, and my environment is very different. Sometimes to make the sutras relevant may not come naturally to me. So I might not be able to make the sutras come alive, But if you ask questions based on your own experiences or based on, just anything that you have, it gives me an opportunity to connect the sutras to what's actually going on. All right. So please ask questions. All right. The more questions you ask, the happier it makes me. Okay. All right. So let's transfer merit. And remember, okay, transfer merit. First, you must have merit to transfer. Let me share the slide again. Where's the slide? Okay. You must have merit to transfer in the first place. And this has all to do with Pure Land practice. Okay, when you talk about Pure Land practice and you transfer merit to be reborn in Pure Land, you ask yourself, what are you transferring? You don't have any merit to transfer. Okay, you're not transferring blessings. Okay, you're transferring merit. So, okay, again, to summary, what are the three things that makes up right intention? Renunciation, or the lessening. You have the wish that whatever you do is to lessen your greed, your attachments, your desire. Okay, renunciation. Second one is goodwill. You wish people well and yourself. Okay, good things. All right. Number three is harmlessness. Harmlessness not only means whatever you do doesn't affect them adversely, but in the long run, you want to lead them to ending birth and death as well. That's a wider interpretation of harmlessness. So that's how it connects to the three great vows of I vow to save all living beings, I vow to cut off all unwholesome deeds, and I vow to only do wholesome deeds. All right? Okay. Let me get my slide. Let me add this slideshow. All right, I'm going to put my palms together. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, let's do 3 vows to the Buddha, and I have my handbell with me today. Okay, just let me change something. Okay, you all can still hear me, right? Can you all hear me? Okay, thank you, Carrie. All right, let's do 3 vows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Okay, good night, everyone, and good morning, depending on where you're from, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dharma Master. Thank you.